All right, subchapter B, oil transportation, part 130, oil spill prevention response plans. Just checking the receipt of the recording. 131, purpose of 132, scope of 133, general requirements of 135, the definition 13011, the communication requirements 13021, packing requirements 131, response plan 13033, response planning implementation. All right, this purpose is describes the prevention company aiming with the response planning with requirements of the Department of Transportation, applicable to transportation over the motor vehicle for the rolling stock. Scope of the requirements for this part of the plow by any liquid petroleum oil than packaged to have the capacity of 3,500 gallons or more. Any liquid petroleum and non-petroleum oil with quantity of the greater than 42,000 gallons of it per packaging. The requirements for this part have no effect on the applicability of the hazardous material of the regulation set forth in subchapter C of this chapter. The discharge notification requirements of the United States Code for the government is 83rd Title 33 CFR Part 153 Environmental Protection Agency 40 CFR Part 110. The mixture this requirement the part that do not apply to any mixture of the solution in which the oil is concentrated by the weight of the loss of less than 10%. Transportation of the oil, the aircraft, the vessel, any petroleum oil carried in the fuel tank for the purpose of supplying the propulsion of the transportation vehicle for the attachment, which is attached. Oil transported successfully within the confines of the non-transportation related terminal facilities and vehicles are not intended for use in interstate with the intrastate commerce. The C Title 40 CFR Part 112 Appendix A. These requirements of the 130-31B of the Marine do not apply with the mobile marine transportation related facilities. See Title 33 CFR Part 154. 133. The general requirements. No person may offer or accept it with the transportation and transport oil subject to the part unless that person complies with this part and has been instructed with the applicable requirements of this part. Statute 135. Definition subchapter animal fat means the non-petroleum oil fat grease derived from the animal is not specifically identified elsewhere on this part. Contract otherwise means the written contract with the response of the contractor identifying and ensuring the availability of the necessary personal equipment within the shortest practical time. Written certification by the owner of the operative of the necessary personal equipment that will be made available to the owner of the operative with the shortest practical time. Documentation, membership of the oil spill response organization, they ensure the owners operative to accept the necessary as personal with equipment within the shortest practical time. The EPA with the use Environmental Protection Agency liquid is material that has a vertical flow over than 2 inches within 3-minute period, or material having 1 gram or more liquid separation when determined if the of the procedure to specify the ASTM D435984 standard type of messaging determining whether the material is liquid or solid. 1990 edition was incorporated by the reference. Note this incorporation reference has been approved by the Director of Federal Registry accordance with the title U.S. Standard Code, and then it goes over some other laws. Maximum extent practical mean with the limits available to technology with the practical technical limits on the owners, the operative of the onshore facility, the planning of the response resource required to provide on-water recovery capability, shoreline protection, cleanable capability to go with the response activity, the worst capability to discover the discharge oils in adverse weather. Non-petroleum oil means that any animal fat, vegetable oil, the other non-petroleum oil, the oil means that only in kind of any of the form, including but not limited to petroleum fuel, oil, sludge, oil, refuse, oil mixed with waste other than dredged spoil. Other than non-petroleum oil, meaning the non-petroleum oil, any of the kind that is not animal fat of the vegetable oil packaging, meaning the receptacle and any other component of the material necessary for the receptacle to perform the contamination function of the conformance packaging requirements of the part of the command department pertaining with a single packaging person meaning the individual firm of the corporation, partnership, the association, state, municipality, commission, or political subdivision of the state, any of the state body as well as the department, the agency, the instrumental of the executive, legislative, judicial branch of the federal government. Petroleum oil means any of the extent oil extracted to derive at the geological hydrocarbon deposit, including the fraction thereof. The qualified individual means the individual familiar with the response plan and trained with his or her responsibility in the implementation of the plan is authorized on the behalf of the owner and operative to initiate all response activities identified with the plan with the entry of the in response to related to the contract with the obligated firm with such contract active liaison with the other and coordinate with the other responsible officers. Official of the qualified individual must available at all the times the power owner operating engaged in transfer subject to Part 130 alone. The conjunction with the equal qualified alternate must be fluent with English, must have his or her position documentation of the required authority transport and transportation mean with any of the move of the oil highway and rail with any loading and unloading storage incident there too. Vegetable oil means the non-petroleum oil fat derived from the plant and seed of the most nuts, kernel, and fruits, and not specifically identified elsewhere in this part. Worst case, the discharge means the large foreseeable discharge in adverse weather conditions is defined in Title 33, U.S. Standard Code 11321A 24. The lowest foreseeable discharge with the motor vehicle with the rail car capacity for the cargo container. This term, maximum potential discharge within 13031A is simultaneous with work case of the discharge. 130.11, the communication requirements. No person may offer oil subject to this part of the transportation left that the person provided the person accepting the oil of the transportation a document indicating the shipment of the oil. No person may transfer the oil subject to the part and left readily available the document indicating that the shipment of the oil in the possession of the transport vehicle operator during the transportation. A material subject to the requirements of the department may need not specifically identify the oil with the ship. The document accurately describe the material of the aviation fuel, the diesel fuel, oil, gasoline, jet fuel, kerosene, motor fuel, and petroleum. 1321. Packing requirements. Each packing unit to transport the oil subject to this part must be designated, constructed, maintained, clothed, and loaded so that the under conditions normally exhibited in transportation there will be no relief of the oil of the environment. 130.31. Response plan. No person may transport oil subject to the department unless the person have the current basic written pattern planning that sets forth the manner of the response for the discharge that may occur during the transportation, take into account with the maximum potential discharge of the contents from the packaging, identify the private personnel with equipment that be able to respond to the discharge, identify the appropriate personnel agencies, including their telephone number to be contacted in regard to the types of discharge they handled, including the National Response Center. For each motor carrier is retained on the file the act of the personal principal to play with the business, each of the location where the dispatch of the motor vehicle occurs, and for each railroad is retained on the file the person principal the place of the business at the dispatcher's office. No person may transport oil subject to this part with a quantity greater than 1,000 barrels or 42,000 gallons unless that person has a current comprehensive written plan that conforms with all the requirements specified in paragraph A of the section and consistent with the requirements of the National Contingency Plan of the Title 40 CFR Part 300 Area Contingency Plans. Identify qualified individual having full authority implementing removal actions require immediate communications between the individual an appropriate federal office official, the person providing spill response to the personal equipment, identify the insurer of the contract with the other means that available of the principal private personnel, include the address, the phone number, the equipment necessary to remove, the necessary extensive practical the worst case of the discharge, include the discharge resulting from fire explosion to mitigate the preventing substantial threat of the discharge. Describe all the training equipment, the testing, the periodic unannounced drill, and respond to the action of the facility of surveillance to be carried out under the plan to ensure the safety of the facility, to mitigate and prevent the discharge of the substantial threat of the discharge. If submitted, the resubmitted the event of the significant change of the Federal Railroad Administration for the tank cars and or to the Federal Highway Administration for the cargo tanks at the East Building at 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast Washington, D.C. 205900001. Alright, 130.33 response plan implementation. During the transportation oil subject to this part of the discharge occurs into or navigable waters of the United States, the adjoining shore of the line of the navigable waters, or that may affect the natural resource belonging to the parent, and two, the under the exclusion of the management authority over the United States, the person transporting the oil shall implement the plan required by Statute 130.31 of the manner contingency of the National Contingency Plan, Title 40 CFR Part 300 on the otherwise directed the federally on-scene coordinator. And that is oil spill prevention Part 130. Oil spill prevention and response plans.